Hi guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about something that has been a major theme in my life lately. And I would say that this has been happening over like really the last year and a half, but just like especially really recently, I am recognizing that it is really okay for me to embrace being human, which I know sounds like probably a little silly because it's like, duh, we are human, like what the fuck else would I be doing? But I just feel like the way that my life has unfolded over the last like 5+ years really put me on a specific path for a long time where I feel like before I kind of went through this spiritual awakening when I was a teenager. I kind of just lived ignorance is bliss, and I, was just kind of doing my thing. I was like chilling, hanging out with my friends, smoking a lot of weed. Like my life really just revolved around smoking weed, to be honest. And it was so fun, and I would not change that for anything. Like I love that era of my life, and I honestly probably was just like a lot less self-aware, but I was just having fun, and I felt good about myself. I mean, obviously I had like so many insecurity issues and like self-worth issues, like actually looking back at like some of the things I was doing and accepting, but just like, I was just living my life, okay? I was just living my life. And then I ended up getting into a relationship that was very unhealthy and very toxic. And through that relationship kind of also went through this spiritual awakening. So all of these new concepts came into my life. Basically the way I viewed life completely changed. The way that I operated changed. I also dated somebody who like literally thought he was a god and like just had a very big ego, but like a spiritual ego, which in my opinion is like literally the fucking worst thing that you could possibly have, and I hate that in people now. But I was very naive at that time, and so this person was kind of pushing all these things on me, and was very confident in the way that they lived their life, and was also just like very judgmental of the way that I had been living my life. And I guess through that relationship and kind of through that spiritual awakening, I took on entirely new ways of being, which was really beautiful. And I really wouldn't take that experience back or change it, because I think that it happened the way it was supposed to, and I'm here now and I feel good about where I am now. But it definitely was kind of forced upon me, and I'll probably make a video just specifically about my spiritual awakening for anybody interested in that, because it definitely it was forcibly pushed upon me, and very quickly too, and I'm grateful for the way it unfolded. But it was a lot, and it wasn't gentle, and it wasn't sweet, and it wasn't very kind. It was very much so like the way you were living your life is gross, and just a lot of judgment, and a lot of me just feeling like I needed to change to please this person and impress this person, and while also like really genuinely like having these magical spiritual moments within myself and realizations within myself that were entirely separate from him. But I think just a culmination of everything, it was kind of like my brain just exploded, and I completely reevaluated the way that I was living my life, and I changed many things about myself, including the way that I eat, and the way the things that I consumed at the time, and where I was putting my energy. And I think I definitely became a lot more strict with myself, and I think the intention was very pure. And I really did awaken to the fact that like this is my vessel and my body, and I need to nurture it, and I need to feed it healthy foods, and I need to care for it in the ways it deserves to be cared for. And I think that before I kind of went through this awakening and this relationship, I didn't eat particularly mindfully. I didn't do anything particularly mindfully at all. I just really was unconscious and just living my life and vibing and having a great time. And so I think I just took on these new models of being, and I took it very seriously. And a lot of it was to please that person, like I said. And so just completely changing my diet, which, was for the best. I started really, really, really eating a lot of vegetables, and also I lived with my dad at the time too, and my dad eats really healthy, and I loved cooking for us. Like, that is something that I genuinely love. So it's like, I'm not saying that these things were bad. I'm just saying that things really, really did change. And I think that I took on these mindsets that were very, very black and white. And I really, really set this very high standard for myself of how I need to be showing up in the world. And, I really just dove really deep into just like spiritual learning and, following a bunch of spiritual people on Twitter and reading a lot of spiritual self-help books, which I love all of this. And, I think I became a lot more just aware of what I was consuming. I used to watch just a lot of really shitty reality TV. And I actually do remember this one time that I took acid with that past partner, and some reality TV show that my mom and I used to always watch was playing in the living room. And I remember walking by while I was on the acid, and the one and only time I've taken acid, by the way. And I just remember being like my body actually felt repulsed by it. I really just at that time in my acid brain was ew, this is frying my brain. This is not doing anything productive for me. This, I had a bodily reaction to it. And granted, it was probably just these fakey people and just trash reality TV, basically. That up until that point I had thoroughly enjoyed. And so, I kind of had stopped watching things like that, and honestly stopped watching TV in general, unless it was kind of more spiritual leaning, or if it felt it was doing something productive for me. And kind of really took on that lens of life, where it's I really was only wanting to do things if it felt it was helping my spiritual evolution, and if it felt it was helping me develop as a person, and if it felt it was just really in alignment with the headspace that I was in at that time. And I became much more intentional about the people that I was surrounding myself with, and just the way that I was spending my time and the things that I was focusing on. And I definitely just really, really, really leaned into so much self-help and just so much spirituality, which I naturally really have always felt inclined to and felt drawn to. And I do have a Pisces stellium and a 9th house stellium, and I do have a 7 life path number. This is all written. I definitely have a very esoteric, spiritual, woo-woo side to me. That is undeniable, and that is a huge aspect of me. And so I definitely just was really, 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 I think, leaning into that part of me for very many years. And I think also me trying to please that partner was extremely unhealthy. And even though I was learning these things and it felt good for me to learn, I kind of was doing it in a way that was feeling I wasn't good enough just being myself, and feeling I needed to kind of take on these different ways of being to be worthy of receiving love. So it definitely was under a guise that wasn't healthy. And so, luckily eventually I was able to separate from that partner, but I think that relationship was so impactful on the way that I viewed myself for a very, very long time afterwards. That partner was just so judgmental towards me. And if I played a song that he didn't think was cool, he would just glare at me, and he would just tell me that I harnessed zero creativity. It was just so toxic and awful, and really degrading, a very, very degrading relationship where I lost a lot of myself and really just changed as a person. And even those changes could be seen as good changes, it felt a lot of pressure, and it felt I needed to kind of maintain this persona to be able to be worthy of receiving love and attention. And like I said, luckily I was able to separate from that partner, and I really do feel time away, it took years, but just this whole healing journey of just recognizing that I always was worthy of love, even before I had that spiritual awakening, even before I started eating healthy, even before I stopped watching reality TV, and that there's also nothing wrong with those things. And I think I really, really found a healthy balance within myself of genuinely being me and liking what I like and owning what I like and being myself, and just recognizing that I'm such a cool person just being myself, and that I'm supposed to be myself, and I don't have to be any certain type of way to receive love. But I definitely did take away a lot from that spiritual awakening and just from that relationship in general. And like, I do love to eat healthy. I do love to eat things that nourish my body and make me feel good. And I do love to consume content that makes me feel good. And I do love to learn about these spiritual concepts. And I do love to push myself to be the best version of myself and to, you know, have expectations of myself and ideas for my life and goals for my life, and to have a perspective of my life that is grand, and to know that I'm capable of accomplishing those things. And I feel like I've gotten to a very, very, very grounded place of just really, really being me. And I have for many years now. But I think that like remnants from that time in my life had kind of stuck around for a while, and I still just had these very high standards of how I needed to be and what my life should look like. And I feel like I did just like kind of take on, I don't know, just kind of these unrealistic expectations. And I can't even blame it entirely on that relationship. I feel like just really diving deep into like spiritual communities as well. It's like, I know the intention is very pure, and I obviously want everybody to live their life to the fullest. And it's like, I want to make higher timeline decisions for myself always, and I want to always tune into my intuition, and I want to like live a full and healthy and happy life and really like do the hard things. But I think that, I don't know, I just still had like some internalized judgment towards myself for not being perfect, whatever that was supposed to look like. And I guess for me that meant just like always eating healthy, always just being super mature and like being the bigger person, and like only consuming things that are productive. And even like as far as like posting on Instagram, like always having to post something that felt really deep and meaningful, and that felt like it was going to help other people or bring new perspectives. And like, while I naturally do love to help people, and I do love to like share my insights, and like I do love to think deeply about things, it felt like my worth was based around what I was able to output and what I was able to give to other people. And like my identity was based around like just solely helping other people, or solely being this source of wisdom and the least egotistical way possible, like genuinely. Just like, I just felt like I couldn't just post a picture of myself looking cute with a funny caption. It had to be like something more than that to be worthy. And just, it's just been such a process of like unlearning all of that. And I really, really, think that it's because of the people that I've surrounded myself with over the last like year and a half, and really, really just meeting people with entirely different perspectives than what I had carried for a very long time, and kind of just being open-minded to how other people live their life and how other people view their life. And honestly, hanging out with people that are just like very grounded and very just like immersed in this human experience, and just allow themselves to be human. And I'm like, what a crazy concept to just let myself be human. And I know that Ram Dass has talked about this concept before of just like embracing your humanity, because he obviously like lived very unconsciously, but felt like there was something missing when he was like a professor at whatever college he had worked at, if you're familiar with his story. He's like basically like a spiritual guru, but once he kind of went through a spiritual awakening, he definitely like very much so embraced like just all of like the higher realms and like spirituality, and like didn't really, you know, allow himself to be human. Or maybe he did, but I just remember watching lectures of him just talking about how sometimes people would be like, you know, Ram Dass, like, have you ever thought about just like letting yourself be human instead of like tuning into this, you know, oneness all the time, which is always with us no matter what anyways, but kind of just allowing yourself to embrace the human experience and to just like honor who you are in this experience. And this is something that I've also like flip-flopped between a lot too, just feeling like sometimes I'm more connected to being earthly and being human and being in the matrix, and then also feeling like I just want to sit in meditation for hours and I just want to kind of escape this reality. But I think that just like hanging out with people that really just like are human and let themselves be human and let themselves be involved with all human life things, and and just be fully immersed in that. Like, it has really, really opened my eyes, and I feel like I have just gained a much larger lens of compassion for myself and for others. And I don't know, and also just like surrounding myself with people too who like allow themselves to be imperfect, and who have just really, really shown me that it's like okay to go out and eat fast food every once in a while if that's what I want to do. It's okay for me to watch a reality TV show, watch trash TV if I want to, if I'm tired and I'm bored, even if I'm not tired and I'm not bored, that it's safe and it's okay for me to do these things. And like, it doesn't make me lazy, it doesn't make me a bad person, it doesn't make me any of those things. Like, I'm allowed to just exist and do whatever feels right to me. And that honestly, like, forcing myself to meditate when I'm in the mood to just like relax and watch something stupid and silly, like, that really is only going to cause resistance within me. And that, like, it's just okay. It's just okay to do whatever I feel like doing in the moment. And like, obviously I want to be grounded, and obviously I want to like find a balance. And I just really, really heavily believe in like moderation, or like the 80-20 rule of like doing the things that really make me feel good, but then also just allowing myself to like just play to play, and just have fun to have fun, and to eat shitty food if I want to eat shitty food for a night. And like I said, obviously I don't want to do it all the time, because I really do value how I feel in my body. And like, you know, honestly, when I do watch reality TV, it's like a lot of times I watch it and then I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I don't want to watch this anymore. And then I turn it off, and then I do something else with my time. So it's like just recognizing that the world didn't end by me not, you know, continuing to act out of this perfect standard for myself, and just realizing that I really am a multidimensional person, and I have a vast variety of taste in things, and that it really just is okay to be me and to be human. And I think that I've also just had such a high standard of myself, like feeling like I always need to make the right decision, and like always like be super mature and have it together, and like, and it makes me emotional because I've put this pressure on myself to just like be perfect all the time. And I've really recognized that I'm not at all, and that it's okay for me to like not always know the right answers, and it's okay for me to respond over emotionally, and to, you know, like fuck up at times, honestly, and to like not always be the bigger person, and to not always like feel like I have the strength to make the really hard decisions, or just to allow myself to kind of live my life at my own pace, and like learn my own lessons and not get it right every single time, and to like just not be so hard on myself about it, and to recognize that like I'm here to grow and to learn and to live this human experience. And like, of course I want to like learn and grow and like implement my learning and my growth, and I have in so many ways, like, and I'm so proud of myself. But I think that I just like have really expected myself to like just be able to do things with ease that are actually really, really, really difficult to do. And I just have so much more compassion for myself, and realizing that like this human experience is really, really hard. It's really, really hard, and separation is hard, and change is hard, and like, oh my god, this dog going off next to me. Setting boundaries is hard, and you know, like learning is hard. Like, it's all such a process. And also, like, I watched the show Baby Reindeer a while ago, and just like, you're watching this guy just like get abused horribly, and yet he just like continues to go back to his abuser. And it's like, you just want to shake this guy and be like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? But it's just like, it just really, really opened my eyes to like, this stuff is hard. There's trauma. There's like specific lessons that we came here to learn. There's experiences that we had as children, or, you know, that have shaped the way that we operate and the way that we respond to things. And it's like, of course that guy doesn't want to be abused. Of course that guy doesn't want to go back to his abuser. He doesn't even understand why he's doing that. But it's like, clearly, you know, just like him being hard on himself and feeling like shit, like it just makes this like shame loop. Like, it just doesn't feel good. Or it's like, I don't know, people in my life being kind of hard on me about like the decisions that I'm making in my life, where it's like, I'm not hurting myself and I'm not hurting anybody else. And it's like my life to figure out and I'm going at my pace. And like, I would understand if it felt like detrimental, if it felt, you know, I don't know, but just recognizing that like, I don't need to take on more guilt and more shame about disappointing people in my life. And I obviously, I don't know, I just feel like anybody struggling with anything, they obviously don't want to be struggling with that. And that just like being hard on them and judging them doesn't make it any better. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they don't want to be like that either. I'm sure they don't want to be in a difficult position that they're in either. So it's like, I just feel like everyone just having more compassion for each other, that this life is really hard. This person probably has traumas. You know, there's reasons why people respond the ways that they do. And I just feel like I used to myself personally be really black and white about a lot of things. And I was really judgmental towards people. I really expected myself and everyone else to just like operate at this really high level at all times. And I just like, I'm kind of realizing that that's not entirely realistic. And like, more than that, that it's just okay to like not be perfect and to take your time. And like, I was having this conversation with this guy that I met a couple of weeks ago, and he was just talking to me, and what he said stuck to me so much. And he was saying that like he views his higher self as like his older self, like himself when he's like 95, and that he just views his higher self as this version of him that is just wise and all-knowing and just really, really, really compassionate. And that he feels like when he's 95, looking back at his life, he's not going to be mad at himself for making mistakes in his 20s. He's not going to be mad at himself for following his heart instead of his head. He's not going to be mad at himself for, you know, like making the wrong decision, which even that to me recently has been like such an eye-opening thing where I'm like, is there a wrong decision? Like, is there really a right or is there a wrong decision? Like, I feel like every decision you make, you end up learning from anyways. And it's like, it just feels like everything, all of the decisions that I'm making, I feel way less hard on myself and they feel way less severe recently. Like, no matter what, it's my life. I'm living the way that I feel right. And like, if I'm fucking up, if I make mistakes, it's like, so be it. I'm learning along the way and I trust in myself to be able to, and I just looked over at my center console and it's 2/23, which is my birthday, so that's crazy. But I do trust in my ability to make the right decisions for myself and to not let myself get lost. But I just feel like the severity of like, if I make the wrong or right decision has really like lessened. And I just feel like no matter what, I'm on this learning path. And it's like, if things blow up in my face, they blow up in my face and I learn from it. But at least I'm living my life the way that I want to live and like at the pace that I feel is right for me. And yeah, and I would like to think of my higher self as this compassionate being. And I just know that I'm going to continue to fuck up and I'm going to continue to learn over time. And like, that's okay with me. And like, I'm so sorry if that's not enough for you. And I hate feeling like I'm like not doing enough in my life or like I'm displeasing those around me by like certain decisions that I make for myself. But I just feel like, I don't know, like I'm just trying my best, to be honest. And like, I just wish that I don't know, I just try to give myself more credit and just honestly care less about what other people think, because I don't know. I know that I'm trying my best and I know that I still have standards for myself. I still decide to tune in. I still decide to lean into triggers. I still do the work, but it's just like, I feel like I just am being much more kind to myself and just much more validating of the fact that things are difficult. And if I'm not able to do a really hard thing immediately, like understanding like that is okay. Like I get it, Emily, like I get why it's really, really hard, while also pushing myself and remembering like I can do hard things. I really feel like it's a balance. And like there are certain things that you should stand really, really, really firm on in your life and that you shouldn't sway on. But I don't know. I hope that all of this is making sense too. And I'm definitely getting very worked up because this is something I'm really, really passionate about. And I just feel like I don't know, it's really, really, really easy to judge other people and to be hard on other people and to not understand where other people are coming from. But it's just like situations are so layered, and it's rarely ever just like very cut and dry and black and white. Also, I have a Capricorn moon, so I feel like that doesn't help with like the high expectations that I have for myself. And I definitely just always have been really, really hard on myself. But I don't know, just coming back to that really, really soft and gentle place, and just letting myself be, and just letting myself go at my own pace, like I said, letting myself do whatever I feel is right in the moment, and like know that like no matter what, that is okay. And yeah, I don't know. And I feel like it's really, really helped my relationships with other people too, because I feel like I did just used to be like judgy and just like really, really hard on the people in my life. And like I think it's really good to have boundaries about like what you allow around you and like the type of energy that you're allowing and stuff. Of course, like I'm not saying like disregard all of that and just like be delusional completely. Like you need to have standards for your life, and like there's a reason why we have discernment, and that is really important to honor. But I think just also recognizing that it's like we're all living such complex lives, and we are all learning so many lessons, and that also like we came here to learn very specific lessons. So what somebody else is going through might look completely different than what you're experiencing, but it's what they came here to kind of master and like develop and learn more about. And that takes time, and it's literally a lifelong journey. And just, I feel like I've been able to be so much more understanding to other people's perspectives, and also just like recognizing that like we are in this human experience, and like there are very, very real aspects of like this human experience and how we live our lives every single day. Like we really do get to choose the lens that we experience our realities through, but also like there are a lot of external factors that are very real. There's privilege, there is real things that certain people experience that can't be denied. And so I just feel like my viewpoints have shifted a little bit to be just like a little bit more grounded in reality as well, which is crazy that that's coming out of my mouth. And like, I know I just made that video about like choosing your lens of reality, which is so true. I deeply believe in that, like that everything I said in that video is true and real. And I really have changed my perspective. But I also do think that like just this human experience is just really, really hard. And it's like just not super realistic to expect people to be able to like entirely shift the way that they view their reality when it's like their life has shown them something completely different, you know, the entirety of their life. And while I do think that work is possible and you can do that, just understanding that not everybody is going to, and I understand why some people like don't think that's possible. And just, yeah, just really, really honoring just being human. And it feels just really, really safe, and it feels like I'm allowed to be imperfect, and it feels like I'm really, really allowed to validate my feelings, and that feels really, really good. While also, of course, like I said, I want to be the best version of me, and I want to feel good in my life, and I want to be in alignment, and I never want to force things, and I never want to cling to things. Like I really genuinely do just want to live a happy and healthy life. But I just feel like there is like such a balance to be found, and yeah. And even if you're not spiritual, and a lot of this just sounded like super fucking out there, which I understand, I feel like anybody can relate to just being really hard on themselves and just kind of setting this unrealistic expectation. I feel like I can't talk about something without it getting semi-spiritual, which I'm just accepting. That's just me. It's just the life path that I was gifted, I guess. And this has been a major part of my life that I can't deny, like finding balance between being human and just like these other spiritual truths that I have come to know and like feel deeply within my soul. So sorry if I sound off the walls, but it's just what it is. It is what it is. And like I said, I feel like I do want to be grounded enough to where other people can relate to what I'm saying. And so just allowing myself to fully be me and embrace every aspect of myself, because they are all real and they're all equally as true and valid, and we are just multidimensional people. But even if you don't relate to the super spiritual stuff that I was talking about, just like yeah, the holding yourself to a high standard, to holding others to an insanely high standard, and just, you know, recognizing like this shit is difficult. You know, we have to work to make money, to be able to live, to survive, to care for our families. Tragedies happen. There's hate, there's racism, there's cruelty, like there's war, there's violence, like there's so much struggle in this human experience. And it's like, fuck. Like, it's just, it's a lot. And I really, really try to just stay optimistic. And I really do just, I think, naturally hold like an optimistic viewpoint at this point. But I don't know. We can't deny that this human experience is really, really difficult. And so I just think it's important to be really, really validating to ourselves as we navigate life's ups and downs, that we're just doing our best, and that's really all we can do. And we already know how hard it is, so why make it harder for ourselves by being hard on ourselves? Like, I think that we really just need to give ourselves lots of hugs and give each other lots of hugs, and, you know, reward our small wins, and just be really, really proud of ourselves for doing our best despite life's difficulties. And yeah, so I don't know, I hope this video was reassuring and in some kind of a way. I hope that it made you feel like a weight is off your shoulders a little bit, or like you can just take a really deep breath and exhale and know that, like, no matter what you're doing, it's okay, and you are worthy of love just inherently by existing, and you don't have to do anything to prove your worth or your worthiness. And, you know, all you really have to do is breathe. And you don't have to be super productive. You don't have to be the most emotionally strong. You can take things at your pace. Inevitably, I feel like things always get worked out anyways. So I really feel like there's no reason to like majorly stress or worry. And I personally believe that like what is meant for me won't miss me, and that I'm just really, really guided and loved and supported along this journey. And I know that all of you guys are too, and I can promise that you guys are too, even if you don't feel like it. And yeah, let's just continue being human and trying our best and growing and creating and loving and just being and hanging out and chilling and just having fun. Really, really having fun. For sure having fun. But yeah, I love you guys so much, and be nice to yourself or else. And I will see you guys in another video soon. Okay, bye!